Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to The Grid. This is another Scott-less episode of The Grid.
Indeed.
Scott's on a plane right now, making his way to a seminar tour near you. Well, unless you're in the two cities that he's going to, it's not really near you, but he's on his way. And so it's Jen's here with us. And
hey, everybody.
We're going to be talking about, the topic that we're going to talk about today is... what was it? What was the exact word? Because you came up with it.
Yes, I did. It was photographers who break the mold, and then also how you can too.
Yes, exactly. So, going into, and we kind of went in a little different direction because we were just talking about it. I went for genres. She went for specifics. So I'm going to show like more of the genre, the type of people in the genre. Specifics. We're probably going to come at, we already talked about, we're going to come at it from a different perspective.
Right.
I tend to shoot landscapes, travel, and rockets, which are a lot different than what you shoot, which is
people,
boudoir,
portraits, things like that.
So you're coming at more portrait, I'm coming at more landscape. But the same theory applies, and that's what we talked about this morning, is, hey, when you're wanting to go to that next level and kind of break through, there's always there's a similar formula to that. So we're going to go into all that today. But before we get started, we got to talk about some news stuff and get that out of the way. First thing, I gotta mention this. So we're going to be giving away a couple things on the show. One of the things we're giving away is a Platypod Ultra. And what's cool about this, we've got an announcement for all you Canadian members who are tuning in that these are now available on Amazon Canada. So you can actually buy this through Amazon Canada.
It's very cool.
So
and
right over here. A lot of
people will be very happy about that.
And you can go amazon.ca and you can buy a Platypod now right in the store. There it is, right there. Awesome. So, and then we're also going to be giving away Scott's digital photography book series. So I'm giving that away at the end of the show. And then the other thing that I have a really cool announcement is for KelbyOne members, and that is we just came out with today an update to the online player. And this has been the #1 most requested feature over the last year, and that is now when you watch lessons in full screen, it will automatically advance you to the next lesson.
Which is huge. A lot of people are wanting that for sure.
That was released today. There's actually a post in it in the community where Adam went into the community and posted about it. And you can find all that. If you're ever looking for news items, you can always go to your dashboard, go to from the community section right here, and actually you can see right there, new course player launched today.
That's great. That's great.
Yep, there you go.
And it looks like we have some special guests in the chat today. Scott Kelby says, yo, I'm in the chat, baby. He said, well, till takeoff. Hi, Eric. Hi, Jen. Name a Rolling Stones song. I have it. It's the I Ain't Got No Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. It's
Satisfaction.
actually, the name of the song is parentheses, can't get no. And then in parentheses, satisfaction.
Well, there you go.
So the name of the song, Satisfaction, with can't get no.
Miss Jean Gilliba, who is fantastic. Basically, if you win any prizes, she's the one that sends it out to you here on the grid.
Yeah.
She came and just berated me like crazy. She's like, I can't believe you didn't know.
I can't believe you didn't know a Rolling Stones song.
I don't know. I felt redeemed though because Irene last week also couldn't name one, so that made me feel good.
Yeah. I understand. Some of those questions I don't know either. So we come from a different era.
Yeah, so it's different. And then Mr. Jeff May is there. Hey, Jeff. He says, hello, Eric and Jen. And Cheeky Nando. Hello,
hey,
hello.
Cheeky Nando.
Always good to see you.
There's Piotr. Says, hey,
Piotr.
Hey.
And Carl. How's it going? Kevin Scott says, hi, Scott. Oh, wait. Hi, Jen. Hi, Eric. From Cheesy, Wisconsin. Hi there.
And all right, so I think that's everybody so far, right?
Almost. Gerald Zalacco and Debbie all say hi as well. Hey, guys.
Oh, yeah. And then what is that? That one from Serbia? Did you go into that one?
I didn't. I just attempted to say his name.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Zalacco?
Yeah. Well, anyways, welcome from Serbia.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there you go. So why don't you kick it off? You've got a photographer that you wanted to bring attention to.
Here, let me connect. And Jason, don't play this just yet.
Two.
Two. Oh, okay.
It's fine. Go for it.
So
just might walk up on you.
Say what?
It might lock up on you.
I know. I have amazing Wi-Fi today. This just isn't working very well. Well, okay. So basically, the idea behind this was that there are some photographers that I've heard of that really have transformed their careers by doing something really, really innovative and really setting themselves apart. And yeah, it's locked up on me now.
Yeah, it's locked up on you.
Well, I'll say the name, and Jason's really good about bringing up the thing here. I just brought up.
Might try it again. Or you might be connected.
Okay. Well, I connected to one, Jason, if you can see my computer. So there's this woman named Jill Greenberg, and a lot of you probably know of her. She's very, very popular. Yep. She came out with this amazing lighting style. And do you know how difficult it is to come up with a new lighting style?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
That's why I don't like portrait photography.
Oh my gosh, I love portrait photography. It's just so fun. It's just so amazing. So basically, Jason, if you can just type in Jill Greenberg, and what I did was I typed in Jill Greenberg celebrity in the images, and all of these images came up of hers. They're very, very popular portraits of hers. I just connected to Control Room 2, so hopefully you can see my computer. But so she was on set one day, and someone moved a beauty dish above the subject, and they came up with this very, very, very highly lit portrait that was just beautiful and very different from. Now you've seen it all over the place. You've seen it literally all over the place. But really, at the time. Jason, if you go to a Google search and you hit Jill Greenberg celebrity, there you go. Type in celebrity, that's good, and then just hit images. So do you see the ones of Gwen Stefani? You see how brightly lit that is? They were just moving some lights on set, and so basically they saw this poppy, amazing lighting that they created. And then the thing is that she got hired over and over and over again just to do this one setup. And it really, from what I know about her, it really just made her career, and it set her apart. And my old photographer that I worked for, he said she just made her living off of this one lighting setup pretty much. And now if you look at her current work on her website, she's really progressed, and so she doesn't really do a lot of that anymore. I mean, she did that for one stage in her life. Yeah. She became very, very popular, and then she's since moved on to other things. But she made a name for herself because of that. Yeah,
and it's a very distinct look. It's
yes.
And I think that's the thing with portrait photography, well, with any photography, it's creating that look that kind of sets you apart, right?
Exactly.
So it's whenever you see that image, you go, oh, that's hers. And then you also see when people imitate that image that, oh, that's theirs, so that's really cool.
Yeah, and more on that later on imitating, because really, if you do something like this.
Yeah, and Dave Clayton asked, did Jill do the crying babies? Yeah,
she did.
That was the crying babies.
So Jill's a little controversial.
Yes.
She had this project. She does a lot of these personal projects, and she did one with animals, and she did one with crying babies. And basically, she put these babies up in her lighting setup, and then they just started crying. And so everyone's going, oh, that's so mean. What a horrible project. But that's just her. That's just her work. And she got a lot of publicity from that, to be honest.
Definitely. So there's a question here for you, Jen.
Sure.
And that is, N. Robbins Photo 1 is asking, now, does Jen know who The Who is?
Oh, yes. I've definitely heard of the band The Who.
There you go.
For sure. Yeah. But do I listen to them? Absolutely
not. Can you name
not.
a Who song?
No. That is not my type of music. It just isn't.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Exactly.
It really isn't. Oh, man, I'm going to get all these pop quizzes now.
I know, right? Yeah. But, that's really cool. I love that. And I really, I admire the skill involved in that, because I cannot, that's not my thing.
Yeah, I know this is difficult. And this is something that I have not accomplished yet, but whenever I'm lighting a subject, I just think, and this is good for everybody too, not just in portrait photography, but whatever photography that you do, when you're on set, don't just do the same thing over and over and over again. Try to challenge yourself and play and move the lights and just try new things. And Irene last week was a perfect example of that. We have a whole class on creative portraiture, and she just does all these different amazing things and constantly pushes herself.
Oh yeah, and that segues into where I am with this topic as well, and that is that I think when it comes to breaking the mold and kind of stepping outside and really kind of, how you can do that as well. And I think a big thing is to go through steps with your photography. The first step that I'd always tell people is just get comfortable with the gear to a point where you forget about the gear, where the settings don't matter. You just know, well, it's going to be around this f-stop. Hey, I'm going to go around this ISO. I'm going to go around, just have the settings kind of fade away.
Yep.
Because you have to get to the point where the settings just become not an issue. All the photographers I've always spoken to, have always the photographers at least that I look up to and I say, wow, they're doing great stuff. They never talk about their settings. You know what I mean? They never go into oh yeah, it's because I shot that at f8. That's why that image is awesome.
Yeah.
It's always well, here's the emotion. Here's what I was trying to convey. So it's getting to that point where you're comfortable enough. And we have a site that'll do that for you, KelbyOne.com, so you could definitely go on there, learn, get up to speed with your camera to that point. But then you have to get inspired. And that's where, if you look at KelbyOne, for example, right, most of our classes are about pushing you and inspiring you to do creative things, right? It's not just about the settings, the buttons, the dials. We have whole series on that, and we have new series where we're just going into the personal side of people's lives, because there's also understanding the person, understanding what their style is, how their motivations and stuff. So that's where you get inspired. You learn the gear, you get inspired, but then the next thing is, like you just said, you have to push yourself. You have to go and actually go shoot, go experiment, go do that next thing. And when you really go and experiment and start pushing yourself to do those things, that's when I know that your photography, if you have that base layer, your photography will get better, because you have to go out and experiment.
And Johan here, he says, aren't the most beautiful photos made by mistake? Oh, I did not mean to do that, but it looks very cool. And that's exactly the point. That's exactly it.
I mean, that's a lot of times, that's what it is, experimenting, playing around, getting it. Now, there's obviously planning. Like I said, that's where you have to get to the point where you understand just the base level technical stuff. I'm a gear person, right? You know that, we talk about that. But I also have learned to just kind of there's a base level that I need to know, and then anything beyond that, just because I'm a nerd, it's just because I get into that stuff. But I really only need to know to make a great photo. You just need to kind of, great photo, I haven't even made a great photo, but
please. Oh my gosh.
But that's we always aspire to we gotta do more and more.
Definitely do.
But that's where, again, that's the next step. The next step is you have to get connected with other people in a community, and that's where I've noticed a lot of our members, even myself, being able to connect with other people in the community and being able to get feedback on our work.
You just went on a trip with someone that you met in the community.
Oh yeah, I just did
a photography trip.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's cool is and they inspire you to see the world differently, and they inspire you, and then they push you, and then you push yourself, and you get better, and then you keep on going down that path. And that's where you gotta network, you gotta get plugged in with that community. I know the KelbyOne community is a great place to start with that, because one of the things over there that I love about the KelbyOne community versus some of the other online communities is it's so nurturing. I mean, it's not one of these communities, we're very strict about making sure that we're helping, constructive feedback, getting people to the next step, and not a place for, the internet. There's a lot of that on the internet. Yeah, there's a lot of that on the internet. And that's fine. I get that, but it's just not, that doesn't help us any. But then we've got to where people are sharing, giving their feedback, getting their feedback, and then you go and you experiment some more, and you keep on iterating this thing, and then I learn a new technique. Well, anyways, that's one of the things. So one of the areas that, I'm really interested in, and I'm going to go through a couple photographers. You went through one, and I'm just going to pull up their Instagram, because if you guys want to follow them, which maybe you want to open up another window if you want to follow them, or open it up on your phone. But these are the kind of photographers. So Simon here, he does some awesome stuff. Him and Ramton. So him and Ramton, both of these guys, do these awesome landscape. Epic, wide. and it's a style, right? And I just am drawn to it. Like, I love this stuff, like his stuff and his stuff. Like, I am just drawn to this. Like, it's so captivating. And I mean, you just look at it and it's like, it just draws you into the photo, right? And it just like, and I love that. But if you look at it, it's a different style than traditional landscape. Like, so everybody in this genre that I'm drawn to, they're all kind of bucking the system. It's ultra wide angle lenses, ultra wide, very close to foreground elements. So I was just shooting with these guys up in Canada. I got to shoot with them and I got to like see how they're doing it. I'm like, I can't believe how close they are to their foreground elements. But now when I see it, I'm like, totally makes sense, you know, and it's pushed me to kind of to look at it differently and to kind of buck the system or push the envelope, do something. And, you know, one other one that in that group, and he's kind of like the crazy, you know, he's doing crazy stuff with it. Mark Adamus, you know, this guy is doing almost like these painterly landscapes where this is real photography, but it's just so captivating and so like it just pulls you into the image. And I just love that, you know. So these are the guys that they're kind of pushing that landscape art. It's almost like it's going to an art rather than just taking a landscape photo from a parking lot of a national park. Right. Like, and the one thing about like Mark is like this guy, like, he camps out. He gets into it. Like, that's what you were saying earlier, that he doesn't just show up and set his tripod down and take the photo. Like, he goes to extreme measures to get these photos. No, he like goes into the element. He like that is gorgeous. And if you really look at it, like, it's just mesmerizing, a lot of this stuff. And I'm just drawn to it. And I love the style. I love it. And, you know, I'm not even close to this, but I'm drawn to it, you know, so I just find inspiration from this. And I've learned to kind of push myself to do a lot of these things, you know, and then kind of, you know, from those experiences, I've seen that, you know, I have to go farther. I've learned that I have to experiment even farther. Like, I got to go off the beaten trail. I got to hike in, you know, 30 minutes. I got to get off, you know, into the wilderness or get somewhere that's remote, because that's really where these images come from. They don't come from, sometimes they come from the side of the road. I've had images, you know, that they'll come from close to the side of the road, but most of these are not. Right, and that's, I would where agree. You look at these guys, I mean, it's just crazy what Simon, what Rampton, what these guys are doing. I mean, it is, I mean, just nuts. Like, I know that he flew, like, for this image, that's way up in the Canadian mountains, up in the Yukon. And you got to helicopter in and then hike in and then get that shot. But I mean, it's like, it's impressive. It's really cool. Should we talk a little bit about him? Do you think? Well, I do think, I mean, I guess we could, segueing into, this is where, you know, we are looking at people to do KelbyOne classes. Yeah. Now, what's interesting about Rampton, he's actually a KelbyOne member. Yeah. So that's cool. So this guy Rami, he submitted for to be the winner of the gallery several times, and we all just loved his work. And then Erik kind of connected with him online and stuff, and now we're actually bringing him in to do a class to tell everybody, all the members, how he gets these incredible photos. But what he does some really cool post-processing stuff. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw some of this. I mean, it's really cool what and all of them do about the same thing. They're kind of, again, they're in that community. You got to get in that community, and you got to get that support system, you know what I mean, around you. And then it kind of elevates your work, right? That's right. So, I mean, that's where these guys have gotten to this community, and they're pushing the limits. Like, it's really cool. I mean, to me, it just speaks to me. So. And look, he's in here. He's in the chat. Yeah. He says, read this to Erik. Erik, thanks, brother. See, you guys are buddies now. Well, I also awesome work. See, it's incredible. Yeah, it's amazing those guys, he can see compositions, like he can see them. It's crazy. But it's because he's experimenting. He's doing that stuff. He's pushing himself. He's going out and doing this, you know. Yeah, none of this, you're not gonna come up with an amazing image by sitting
sitting at home. You really have to go out there and challenge yourself and try new things. And speaking of friends, I see two very fun women in the chat. Hilmar says, "Hola, Jen." Hi, Hilmar. And then Miss Kaylee Greer. Miss Kaylee, I am about to mention you, so stay tuned. Should we go on a break now, though?
Yeah, we should take a break.
Okay, so let's take a quick break, and we will be, it just pops up there, break time with exclamation points. We will be back very, very soon.
Well, hi, folks, and welcome to part 2 of Mastering the Natural Light Portrait. In this class, we're going to pick up right where the other class left off. We're going to take the same images that we shot in that class, and I'm going to take you through the entire post-processing. Now, some of the times it'll be very subtle stuff. Sometimes it'll take a lot more. Sometimes we'll add even special effects to get that final look that we're looking for. But not only are you going to learn it all, I'm going to give you all of the high-resolution original RAW files so you can download them and follow right along with the class. So check out my new class, Mastering the Natural Light Portrait Part 2 Post-Processing, and that's found exclusively here at KelbyOne.
Hey, this is Justin Wojak with 375 Photography in Atlanta, Georgia. Are you a photographer that wants to make the jump into video and you just don't know what to do? You're too nervous to hit that video button in the back of your camera, or what editing program to use? Well, guess what? We have the answer right here on this brand new course at KelbyOne. We're going to walk you through everything that you need to know on to understand video, to shoot video, but most importantly, to edit it and to have a final product that will add an additional income stream to your business. So be sure to check out this course.
Hello, I am Trey Ratcliffe, and I'm here to show you some new software. I just completed a new course for KelbyOne for this thing called Photograph Pro. What's Photograph Pro? Well, it allows you to take any still image and animate it. You know, there's not a lot of new stuff in photography nowadays, and this thing to me is just incredible. It might look a little complex, but really anyone can do this. And just super fun. I think you're gonna have a blast with it. Oh, I could just look at that all day. Remember, this is a single photo. This is a picture I took in the Valley of Fire. Man, I just can't get enough of this stuff. I love it. I love it. And I hope you love it too. All right, well, come sign up for the class. You'll have a great time. We go through lots of examples together. I can't wait for you to see this software. So join me.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Tamron, professional photographic lenses.
Well, we're back, and we're talking about photographers that are breaking the mold, kind of pushing the envelope, and we've got some comments here. I can see actually my mother is in the chat. Aww. And she's with my grandmother. Hey, Grandma, it's her birthday today.
Awesome. Happy birthday.
90 years old.
90.
Right?
Wow.
So, yeah, there you go.
It's fantastic.
So, happy birthday, Grandma. See you in a little bit. We're going out to dinner later. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And we have Rubino Wen. Hi, Rubino. It's great to see you. And of course, Deb Usilka.
Yep, Boston in the house.
That's right.
Yep. And then Kevin Scott saying, "Toot to my horn just a little. Thanks to KelbyOne, I'm invited to shoot the championship varsity basketball game next week. Not nervous at all. Total lie." So yeah,
good luck.
That's definitely. And you know, there's a lot of stuff on KelbyOne on sports and stuff like that. So getting up to speed with that's really cool.
That's fantastic. Way to go.
Yeah. So a couple things. Well, I saw there was an ad for Trey's Plotograph class, which I have to say, I've been like like getting like addicted to plotograph, right?
It's crazy.
So I'll talk about that I think a little later when I get into some of the rocket guys, because I mean the like rocket photography, I'm like loving it because it's like made for it. But anyways, your next person that you got here is a dog photographer, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I actually wasn't going to do her second. I was going to talk about her third, but you guys all know Kaylee Greer. She just popped in there and said hi, so I want to make sure to show her now. So she is just incredible, and I was looking for a dog photographer or a pet photographer to do a class with when we found her. And everyone's work was just really, really similar. And then the second I saw hers, I was sold. And I was like, we have to do a class with her. And really, the thing is that she came at it with just a completely different look. She actually uses a strobe with a beauty dish, and nobody does that. And she shoots very, very, very low, and she shoots mostly outdoors, completely outdoors, and like really, really wide.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like it's a different look, right? It's like that I was talking about. I mean, it's just like
look.
it's like pushing. It's like you wouldn't have saw that 20 years ago.
Absolutely not.
Never.
Not even
Never.
close to this. And honestly, she broke so many molds, and it's just been incredible. And it's taken her so far. And this is kind of the point of this whole thing. Like, you know, you get out there and you experiment. And if you are fortunate enough, creative enough, innovative enough to break the mold and to come up with a different look that no one's ever done before, it's going to take you very, very far. And she,
yeah.
I mean, this is like crazy. She has her class
They
at
suck you
Photoshop
in.
World. Oh, they do. I know. Every person that I've showed her sites
photos
to,
almost, it's like a portrait and a landscape combined, right?
It is.
I mean, it's so cool.
And in her Photoshop World class, one of them, it said something about, I forget the exact name, but it's something about like daring to do the impossible, something like that. And she actually showed images from when she first started, and it looked, and she was so embarrassed too. It was very funny. It looked a lot like everyone else's dog photography, but then she just kept experimenting, and then found this look. So that's something too. It's like, just because your work looks like everyone else's doesn't mean that you can't move forward and create this like a really original look. And this was another thing that I really admire about Kaylee. So once she started getting her work out there, she started teaching, and especially talking about shooting with a beauty dish, and people started copying her style, like left and right. So, you know, obviously as an artist, that's a difficult thing to deal with. But instead of just getting mad and just, you know, whatever, she then said, what can I do to set myself apart again? So then she got this underwater housing, and then started doing these portraits where she's half underwater and then half above water. And again, she just came up with something that's so incredible. And that is really the best way to deal with this.
And that's the thing is you can't fight the fact, you know, that's the thing is don't fight it.
Right.
You go and you keep on experimenting with it. Use what worked for you before, right? You know, so what worked before is I was pushing the envelope. I was doing something different. So now I'm even going to go farther. Okay, what about an underwater housing? Oh, that could be cool. You know, that'd be neat. And look at what you get out of it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's cool.
And this has taken her life to such an amazing place.
Yeah.
And like, this girl just has this unbelievably bright future, and it's
she's back at Photoshop World this year.
So she'll be there this year.
She's on the instructor list right here. So
that's
you know, there's
fantastic.
Kelly right there. So which Photoshop World is coming up. Shameless plug. But, you know, Photoshop World's coming up soon, so sign up before the early bird.
Just point that out. Shameless plug. Okay, so that is my second one. What's yours? What's your next one?
Well, you know, being me and being that I'm into nerdy rocket science stuff, I have noticed that there is a section of rocket photographers that I gravitate towards. And what it tends to be is, again, the ones pushing the envelope, going,
Definitely.
you know, so the one thing about I'll put this in the photojournalism category, or the documenting or news or whatever you want to call it, that you start getting into that genre where you're just kind of just taking a shot. And there's people that are actually now starting to push it to that limit and going, you know, let's not just take a shot. Like, what can we do to convey the emotion, to show motion, to show the power, all that stuff. Because just taking like a snapshot sometimes doesn't work. And there's some really cool photographers, you know, that I've seen. And again, on Instagram, if you want to go, you know, check them out. And if you like their work, you know, follow them. Give them a shout. You know, the other thing that helps with photography in these communities is give them some feedback. Say, hey, great, you know, saw your stuff on the grid, you know, on KelbyOne, and I love, you know, what you're doing. Like, tell them, you know, like, give them some feedback. You know, obviously constructive. If you know, my whole rule is if I don't have something at least constructive or nice to say, probably not worth saying it. But I know that doesn't work online. But anyways, so Ben Cooper, he is an awesome rocket launch photographer. So you've probably seen his images. You've actually seen, if you've seen any of SpaceX images, because he actually shoots for SpaceX. So a lot of his images end up be the ones that you see online. But I mean, he's just doing this really cool stuff with rocket photography, where, you know, I mean, like being able to like shoot like that, and doing these long exposure streaks and stuff like that, you know, so it's just really cool. So if you follow him, you know, he's doing like this stuff where he's, you know, photographing the rockets landing, doing all that, and he's even doing the streak photography at night. So he's one where, again, they're pushing it. It's kind of beyond the typical. Tom's another one, so _Tom.cross_. And Tom's shooting for Teslarati, which I actually been reading Teslarati for a while because I'm a Tesla SpaceX nerd. But he's doing some cool stuff. What he's doing, and I saw him started to do it the other day, and he was learning, again, Trey Radcliffe, you know, that class on, is he's starting to do the plotographs.
Oh my gosh, that's so
and
cool.
That's so cool, right? You know, so it's introducing motion into a still. Like, that's pretty cool.
That is so neat.
And, you know, so we're kind of like, we're all encouraging each other too. Like, I'm like, hey, that's really cool. You know, hey, you should check out this class, or you should do this, you know, look at these techniques. And like, Brady's another one. So Brady actually shot this shot, which was just awesome, of the rocket engine. I mean, he got like the perfect exposure on the engine and all that. And what's cool about that shot with him is he actually got retweeted by Elon Musk with that shot. So we were all like high-fiving him online, you know, sending him messages, because like, wow, you just got retweeted by Elon Musk. Like, we were all like, I cannot believe this.
Wow.
Like, that's so cool. But it's just an encouraging, uplifting, and that's what, as photographers, we need to be about, that uplifting and encouraging other people, you know, and you know, helping each other, pushing each other to be greater, you know, and that's what's really cool. And that's where, you know, you look at like a lot of this, like, same thing happened, you know, like this shot, and this is by Science Tripper. I mean, look at that shot, and look at the glow and all that stuff he's got. Like, that is so, it's almost like it sucks you in. Again, it just looks, but that's not something you would have ever seen in the newspaper.
Right.
It's not something you'd ever see, you know, printed in a magazine. It's like, it's, again, it's pushing that envelope of what is possible. And, you know, you've got, you know, stuff like this, you know, this is John Krause. This guy's 18 years old, shooting awesome rocket photography, right? So really cool. And what's cool is a lot of these guys shoot other things, you know, so they're also, you know, taking what they learn and applying it to different genres, like Craig here. So Craig shoots rockets, but what Craig does really cool too is shooting drones and doing drone photography. So he does a lot of this drone photography where he's doing overhead shots and, you know, bridge shots and all that stuff from drones. So they're just kind of like, again, pushing the limits with what they can do, using the different experimentations that they did for one thing, applying it to another genre. You know, it all kind of crosses over. So it's really cool, you know, when you see, you know, people able to kind of like push those limits, again, uplifting each other, you know, trying to, you know, bring everybody up, because when we bring everybody up, everybody in the industry rises.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's like what Kelly's doing, you know, pushing the envelope, showing people hey, there's a better way, or there's more we could do with this. Let's go farther with it. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Even Fernando, he just did
Fernando, yeah, right?
Yeah, he just did
he's doing that.
A personal project, and he did portraits, and it was just very, very cool. But it was also wonderful because he posted it in the community, and he said, guys, I really want to hear your feedback. And I thought, God, that's smart.
He got a lot of good feedback too, like very good feedback. And what I'm very proud of Fernando. I mean, think about it. He stepped way outside of his genre. Like, so he was a landscape photographer who then did portraits, but did a portrait style where he was trying to also tell a story with it. I mean, it's like he jumped in the deep end, right?
He really did.
So it's like, but that's cool, you know, you're pushing yourself, you know, doing those experiments. That's what it's about.
Yeah, it really is. So way to go, Fernando.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I want to show you my next person. You guys, I think, will really get a kick out of this. Most of you guys know who this is. This is Art Streiber. He's an incredible, incredible photographer. He shoots regularly for Vanity Fair and basically every magazine. You've seen his work all over the place. But what I think is wonderful, you guys should all, if you're interested in shooting portraits, follow him on Instagram, because what he has started doing is this is the innovative thing. He's actually showing people how he got these shots. Most commercial photographers are very, very secretive about, very, very protective about their lighting setups and how they got these shots. He is doing the exact opposite thing. And I actually read an article where someone interviewed him and asked him why he's doing this, and he thinks it's really important to give back. And I just think it's phenomenal. And for instance, here's one shot. And so he'll show the shot once it's published. And then the very next thing that he shows is the actual setup. And then he goes into a description about it over here. And some of this stuff, I'm blown away with his setups here. And it's really fascinating. I spent like an hour going through his Instagram recently, just blown away by him. So definitely, and that's it. Like, it's not necessarily, you know, his photography is off the charts. It's nuts. But the fact that he's willing to share this is incredible. It's actually very similar to Scott. Like, the entire motivation for this company is to help other photographers and to share the education and stuff, so you can learn from amazing photographers. And that's really what he's all about as well. So go check him out. Look at this. This is the cover of this magazine, and then boom, the next shot, he's showing you exactly how he did it.
How he made that cover.
Which lens he used, everything. It's really fantastic.
So looks like we got a couple more comments here. We got good day from Australia. So hey, Paul saying good day. We got Denmark in the house. Alan, and then Sandra from Houston. That's where Scott will be. Scott's going to be pretty soon. So
very cool.
And then Jefferson, New York. Rich, hey, and Gabriella from the Dominican Republic, and she's saying hope to join you at Photoshop World in Orlando.
Oh,
Can't wait
fantastic.
to see you, Gabriella. Let's see what else we got. And then I got...
Jerry says hi from my desk.
Yeah, I hope my boss doesn't come up behind me.
And then Rose Kieran. Rose, guess what? Rose is from New Zealand, and she's a regular watcher. She's fantastic. We love you, Rose. And she is going to come to Photoshop World from New Zealand. And Sally in our customer service, who a lot of you probably know and have probably talked to, and she's fantastic. She came up to right before the grid and said, did you know that Rose is going to come here for Photoshop World? And I guess you're going to come to the office for a tour as well.
Oh, cool.
So we are really looking forward to that, Rose.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Leon from Southern Maryland. And then, let's see. Looks like my daughter's in there as well. She's saying hi, Dad.
That's great.
Hey, Carrie. I'll see you soon. And then Steve Bauer saying, I went to Kelly's class at Photoshop World and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mean, her stuff's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's where Joss Patterson saying we worked with her when I was in the dog food industry, and she's great. I have a shot of our pug from her. Oh. Glad you guys are featuring her. Yeah.
Definitely, Josh.
Yeah. So, you know, that's really, you know, when you get down to it, you know, you have another one, right?
I do have one more.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of a wild card. Do you have any more? Or?
Well, I'll go into my my one is the next thing that this is, I think, where I see a lot of photography going as far as the landscape stuff, and the future is going to be this drone photography. You know, because it's changing your perspective, right? And really about captivating landscapes is all about, your perspective, elements in the foreground and the background and in the middle, what are those things in the frame? What story are you telling? And being able to change that perspective really changes things. So I've been, following some people on Instagram that really kind of, again, push the limits, kind of doing stuff that's really cool. So this is a Norwegian photographer. I'm pushing his name, but Sten Klo. And he does really cool stuff with drone photography, changing that perspective. I mean, being able to be at that distance where you can get, amazing. You can't get that shot with, I mean, you got to have a drone or be in an aerial, something aerial. So it's really cool. So it just kind of inspires you, and he's got other stuff on here, but a lot of drone stuff where it is stuff from, Mavics, stuff like that. And it's really just cool, cool stuff. So there's him. Another one that I think is really doing some cool stuff is actually another KelbyOne member, Dave Williams. I mean, he's doing really cool stuff with drones. He's doing, the stuff where he's shooting a lot of the straight down with the drone, but at the same time, changing that perspective to do, perspective shots with it. And like aerial shots, just really cool stuff. That's so he's another one to really kind of check out. He was just in Iceland and did some cool stuff in Iceland with it. Another one to check out is this one, Salty Wings, and they're from Australia, but they do awesome aerial drone photography stuff, just with the pop in the colors, doing that with the beach.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, that's just so cool. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just really dynamic stuff, right? So, again, there's other ones here, and if you look, there's kind of that similar pattern of what they're doing is they're just changing the perspective on you, and they're doing stuff to kind of draw you into the photograph by using the camera angle, the height of the camera, to accentuate the landscape or accentuate an effect. And I just think that's really cool.
It really is.
So,
awesome. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much cool stuff there. So, yeah. And then there's also Edward, and he does some cool stuff where it's more about patterns, If you just look at it, a lot of his stuff is about patterns with drone stuff.
That's neat.
So he's got stuff mixed in here as well. But let me find another one of his that's really cool, like this one. It's just patterns and stuff. So again, changing the perspective, kind of pushing the limits, using the tools that we have nowadays to kind of get a different perspective on the world. And but a lot of this is about experimentation. That's where, like, with drone photography, I've kind of got into it, but I really haven't taken it that far because I think I need to push myself to go, go farther and go outside of my comfort zone. Plus, too, where I got to get out of, the things that I'm doing here. Yeah, exactly. But it's really cool. I love it. And I think it's something that a lot of people, they could really change their photography, just changing that perspective.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with landscapes. It's like high and extremely low. That's why the platypod's like awesome for landscapes, because you can get such a low perspective. It's so close to your foreground element with it. That it just accentuates it so much.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Those are very cool examples.
So what do you have?
And by the way, we have a couple drone classes that are coming your way soon.
Oh yeah, we do. We have one on the new Mavic Air, right?
We do.
Yep. And then we have another one where we're looking at doing more of the cinematic style of drone photography, like doing the actual, like, these pictures.
Right. And
like,
very, very cool locations. So
yeah.
Keep an eye on that. That'll be a few months out there. We're working on that. Okay, so my last one is a bit of a wild card. This is not photography. This is videography, but it has to do with, the wedding industry, and I really do think that this will change things for, family photography, for a wedding photography and videography. So So we talked about this in the past. Erik and I actually had a show on like VR and 360 photography and things like that.
Yep.
And after that, I kind of was Googling some things, and I found this one website, this one company, not this one, it was a different one, that is already doing nothing but VR weddings.
Wow.
You know, it's VR. Yeah,
That's
it's not
cool.
the typical videography. It's all VR. And so I actually tried to bring that one up this morning, and it did not come up. So I'm a little concerned about that company. I hope, you know, I think they're a little ahead of the times.
Maybe they went in a different direction.
Maybe. But this is very cool. And I just wanted to show you guys this too. Again, this is just innovation. Just like things are changing. We just want to stay on top of things. This is another company. It's called, what is it? Full Circle Films. And I just found this online after I couldn't find that other company. And they do wedding videography packages, and it's all in VR. And so obviously you're watching this. This is on YouTube. You guys can go check this out. And it's not, you don't have the headset on, but you can still see it. And you can look. Now my computer, we'll see if my computer will be able to do this over the Wi-Fi. If not, Jason should have this queued up in there. Okay, here we go. It's starting to play a little bit. Jason, maybe.
You're asking your computer to do a lot there.
I know. Jason actually has this queued up himself. So Jason, why don't you go to, there you go. Okay, so here we go. I think this is right when the bride is about to come down the aisle. And Jason, if you just move it around a little bit, so now you can go back to the groom.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so cool.
It's so nuts. And if you have the headset on, it's like you're there. So you see the bride is coming down the aisle, and then go to the right, Jason. Go all the way to the right, go back to the groom. So then you can scroll over and you're looking at the groom now. There he goes. He's going to get his soon-to-be wife. And then you can watch the parents, you can scroll back over, watch the family, the parents, all the reactions. And then Jason, if you can go to the end where the kiss was, you found it earlier. So at the very end, it's just amazing because they kiss and then they walk down the aisle, and you can watch them. But then if you also scroll over, you can see the mom is tearing up, and then maybe it's their sister tearing up. So it's just beyond. It's just amazing. And I think things are changing so quickly. And this is something that, photographers may want to play around with.
Well, yeah. And I think immediately people go, well, what about the quality and all that stuff? But here's the thing. It's only going to get better and better and better. And if you can start playing with it now,
you're going to be on the forefront. It's much better to
be now, than to do it later.
So you see the mom crying, and then they had footage of them actually walking off too, and then you see the sister all the way to the left crying.
We both love this stuff. I mean,
this is fantastic.
It's awesome.
And what's happening
it's
too?
It's experiential, It
is. And what's happening is, just imagine this. Just imagine the children of that couple when they're grown. They can put a headset on or whatever they'll have then, who knows what, and watch this. And sure, the quality is not going to be amazing, but it's still
a memory.
It's still a memory. It's still fantastic. It's just incredible.
And like I said, it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better.
But that is so cool, because that's what you can describe that to people. But when you do put on that headset and it has that gyroscope in it, and it moves, it's so cool. It's so immersive.
It is.
Yeah.
Because you obviously, for those of you who haven't tried a headset yet, you obviously aren't using a mouse or anything. You're literally turning your head, and you're able to. It's like you're standing there and you're able to see all over the place. So it feels like you're there.
So I have another thing with pushing the envelope, which I do think is something, and who's doing really cool stuff with this is Trey Ratcliffe, and he did a class for us on this. But this is something that I think a lot of photographers, again, it's like ground floor right now. And we have been doing this stuff for years, and you could do this, but the barrier to entry into this, like 360, you could do that years ago, but you had to have a bunch of cameras, and you had to stitch them in post and all that stuff. It's like nowadays, it's like that just does it right in camera. I mean, they've got an attachment for your iPhone that does it right in your iPhone like that, and you just get the file and it's done. But what I've been experimenting with is what Trey's been experimenting with is those plotographs. So being able to do animations, the other day I was doing stuff, like I did this one from one of the launches where it was that's a still, but you're animating the thrust, So
cool.
it's like you can animate the thrust, or you could go, there's a still, but you could animate the rocket,
That is so neat.
And to do this stuff, and then I put a couple more, like this is one of SpaceX's shots, but all their shots are public use. So,
cool.
But I just went ahead and animated, kind of to accentuate, like, it's like a still image, but it has that motion introduced into it, and it's really cool, and it's so easy to use. Like, I mean, there's that class on it on KelbyOne, but you just like you go into Plotograph and you go into the software, and say you want to, like, that one here, that, like, this one. And it's just a matter of masking certain areas, linking certain, like this is just locking down certain areas and then animating certain areas. And that's all it is. And then you're just exporting it. I mean, I think I did this one in 3 minutes.
Which is nuts. It looks like it must be really hard.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly takes no effort. I mean, well, it takes a little effort. The one thing I think, and that's where Trey goes through that in his class, but a lot of it has to do with understanding how things would work, like how waves would work, how clouds would work, how motion would work, like understanding, if this was in motion, what would I put in motion? What wouldn't I put in motion? It's really cool. So, I mean, this is where, if you really think about it, like, that's ways to really kind of push the envelope, and that's so cool. And that takes like I said, that was that shot, and it took like 3 minutes maybe to do. I mean, it's so simple.
Yeah, I haven't played around with this yet. I really need to.
So, I mean, it's really cool.
Lindsay Adler also does a lot of these, and they're fantastic as well.
Yeah. So very cool.
So that's all I have. Is that all you have?
That's all I have. But I think, again, circling it back to really the point trying to make with this is if you really look at the common threads throughout this, it's like I was saying in the beginning, it's people that are, they're pushing that envelope, breaking the mode, defining a style.
Yep.
But the way they're doing that is through learning. They got to learn to the point of they can take a photograph. You just got to learn to the point. And I think that was a comment earlier where somebody was talking about and saying, once you get to that point where you just know the gear well enough to actually not be consumed with the tech. Now then you go to actually experimenting and looking to other people for inspiration, but then like saying, well, how could I do this different? Or what could I do that would be kind of like different? Or, if you're not that type of person, just emulating what other people are doing, you're going to learn.
Right.
You're going to progress, and you're going to get to that point. And then getting in that community, that community is key.
To your point, who said it just so well? Leighton. Leighton, our awesome motion graphics guy here, who we've mentioned many a times.
Yeah.
He's very happy that he did not have to take mayor of this place, and we have Jason now in the booth controlling everything. So Leighton is like just incredible, and he and I were talking about it the other day, and he said basically when it comes to photography, you have that base knowledge of the technical information that you have to learn just to become level with everyone else, and then once you get past that, then the artistry comes into play.
Oh yeah.
And then it's a matter of like how far you can go. Can you innovate? Can you set yourself apart? Can you make your own style? So that's really what we're talking about here. And you really do that by experimenting.
That's what you do, and you have to go do the work.
Exactly.
I mean, that's where I know you and me both. I mean, in our respective styles, that's what we're doing. Like I just. Like that, rocket stuff. I just picked that up like 8 months ago,
It's fantastic.
But it's like I'm pushing myself even further.
Yeah.
And then like I was telling you, like I'm going out for another launch but now I'm actually like shooting for a news agency, shooting for Space News. So now the credentialing is becoming a lot easier because now I got like the foot in the door. But
see,
but again, you had to keep on pushing it. But I'm doing it from a different perspective than you're doing it.
But
you're
you're doing fantastic because you are constantly pushing yourself. And I'm sure there are plenty of you out there that are feeling like me. I feel like I'm in a creative rut right now. Like I've been getting a decent amount of boudoir clients, which is really fantastic. And I've been doing a lot of the same thing. And especially when you're hired to do something, it's a little more nerve-wracking.
And I do understand that.
Yeah,
and that's where you do have to, like when you're but that's where you get down to. I think you do have to push yourself to do those experimentation things, because that's especially, I'd say this especially applies if you're doing photography for paid work.
Yep.
Because if you don't experiment, you will get stuck in a rut, and then photography will just become like
a job.
It's like it's like a job. Like so, a job will be a job if you make it a job, but a job doesn't have to be a job. I mean, I know people are like no, that's not true, but it's like it can be true. You know, you have to get to that point where you love what you do. You wake up every morning, you want to do it, and like if you're not there, well, I mean, maybe you could get there, you know, and that's where I think you're going to get there by experimenting, by pushing yourself to do fun things, to do new things, and kind of take on those challenges, you know, and push yourself. You know,
I actually got really inspired last week when we were filming with Irene, and she and I talked a little bit about boudoir photography, and there's certain things. She's so great. I just was so inspired. I was exhausted. I was so exhausted. I had to take Monday off. I was like, I'm still tired, guys. But it was wonderful. And she and I talked about a few things that I can implement in my boudoir photography that I have yet to try. And just literally watching her was. It did inspire me. So there is definitely something to say for, you know, watching a lot of these people.
Well, and that's where I'm like, is I definitely think that following some of these people, seeing what they're doing, even like I said, I mean, that's a big thing of like a lot of the classes on KelbyOne are really designed to show you like, here's what you could do with this, here's where you could take it. And it really is inspiring to watch that stuff, to build off that, but you do have to go do it.
Yeah,
you have to go do it. Like there's so many people that they just like, well, but I just want to watch it. You know, it's like you have to go do it. If you don't practice, if you don't go do it, you know, you won't get any better. And we know that, and that's also why we have that community and why we have that support there, because we know that we have to push each other. We have to, you know, make each other better.
So speaking of the community, and just tossing this out here, we're on the fly here, just kind of throwing it out there. If there's anyone else out there that's like me, that's kind of in a creative rut, I think we should create a post on the community, and we should all kind of encourage each other. I actually just I booked a test shoot, so I can just play around, and I don't have the pressures of knowing that I have to get amazing photos for my client that's paying me. And I think that's really going to help.
I think it will. I mean, I would think that'll help more than anything. Right?
I think so too.
You know, because that's going to push you to do stuff that you've been seeing. That you've been like, I wonder if I could mess around with that light, like that one look, and you're going to go,
like,
ooh, now I made something. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And that's it too. I think what's important is, especially in the community, is sharing not only what works, but also just throwing a few photos out there of stuff that I try or you try that doesn't work, because that's kind of interesting too, to get feedback on that. So again, if you want to join me in there, that'd be fantastic. We can all like pitch in and share some of our.
Well, no, but you bring up a good point there, and that is failures are not failures. I mean, failures are just inevitable, right?
Right.
But you learn from the failures, and then you get better. Like you have to fail. I mean, we all have to fail. I mean, that's how we learned anything when we were growing up. Like we fell down, and then we were like, oh, we better figure out this balance thing, or we're gonna fall down every time. You know, so we have to fail. We have to do those things. But if you just don't do them, well, then you're never going to fail, or you're never going to learn.
Right,
you know?
right. So remain stuck.
Yep.
So yeah, hop on in there if you want to. Just join, and we can kind of like help each other.
Oh yeah,
along.
Definitely. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for this show.
Yeah,
but we do need to talk about the contest. Where to go to enter for the contest. So to enter the contest. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to... KelbyOne.com/contest. Yep, /contest.
We made it really easy.
Yep. And you go there. Oh, he beat me. So.
Yeah, he had it queued up. Way to go, Jason.
So you fill out the contest form there. And actually, if you see a cool thing that we have now that our web team did, you see at the bottom there, it says, hey, the grid webcast is now live. Code on the fun. When we do live webcast, it actually pops that up on the site.
Oh, that's
it's really cool.
Good
so if you're a member, too, and you're members only webcast, it does the same thing for members only webcast.
See, making it easy.
Yep. Just like that player. I'm waiting to see the feedback on that. Because,
people will be very excited. We've had that feedback for a very long time. So
I've had that myself when I was like watching Trey's class, you know, and watching it on the Plotograph like a month or like almost a month ago, I guess it was. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I just wanted to go full screen.
Yeah.
And then finally, the web team got it done.
That's good.
It was a lot of work, but they got it done.
Side note about that class, we had a giant hurricane coming to us at that time.
Yes.
And so Trey had to film that knowing that this, at the time,
Looming
Category 5
hurricane was coming, barreling down.
And we weren't sure if he was going to be able to fly out. And luckily, he was. So he got out just in time, like in one of the last flights out. So, that's memories of that class.
If you are a KelbyOne member, though, let's continue this conversation in the community. So Jen's going to create her post. So I wonder what you'll call it. Let's see.
I bet you anything Fernando is on it right now.
That's probably true.
Oh, that's so fantastic. The Creative Rut. Okay, great.
Oh, there we go.
That's
so
great.
we'll go in there and, talk about it and try to help each other out, because I think that's where we could do it, is just help each other kind of progress down those roads.
Because to be completely honest, I've been in a bit of a rut for a while now, and I haven't been doing too much about it. So it's kind of nice to reach out.
Well, and it'd be cool to hear like what you're in a rut with, because I look at your photography and go, hey, it's great.
Do you know what?
You know?
I appreciate that so much. I have not posted.
But I think we do that with our own work, right?
We do that with our own work.
Like I go, I'm not shooting that. We always do that.
But I have not posted anything on Instagram in, I don't know, a month or something. And it's because I am, like, I've taken plenty of photos and I've taken nice photos and stuff, but I am just kind of like stuck. I'm just like, what, like, I don't know.
You just want that next thing. Like,
I just
what's
want that next
thing?
thing. I just feel like I'm posting the same thing over and over and over again.
I hear you.
And I just want to like branch out a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that booking some kind of shoot where you're just doing experimentation and stuff will really help you there.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's a lot of other things that you can do, right? And that's where we can encourage each other to do those things.
Yep.
So, very cool. Well, Scott will be back next week. I think we have who's the guest?
Salmon.
Rick Salmon. Yeah.
Yeah, our good buddy Rick. We love Rick.
Rick's my favorite saying of Rick's is dead center is deadly, right? I always tell the video crew that. They'll put like somebody dead center in frame. I'm like, your dead center's deadly. But anyways, well, thanks for joining us, guys. And obviously, if you want to see more of Jen's stuff, her Instagram or your website's just jencoffin.com.
Jencoffin.com, yes.
So.
And then your Instagram?
It's just Erik Kuna, my name, ERIKKUNA.
Awesome.
And now I did put up a Adobe portfolio site that I learned how to do that.
Seen it yet.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I actually posted it in the community.
Oh, cool.
Because there's a thread in the community where Moose was talking about, hey, is anybody using Adobe Portfolio? And we've had a bunch of members in there, posting, commenting. So it's great because you can see what other people are doing, what features they're using and stuff like that. So it's a great tool for learning how to use it. And then Scott has that class on it, which it's so easy to set up. There's a lot of people that I wish they would. Maybe they don't know about it because I know we've shared that pain point with the gallery sometimes.
So just so
going
you guys
through the images.
I know we're like trying to wrap the show.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be here till 5:30. But when people send in their websites for the gallery, they narrow it down. And Eric's one of the people that goes and narrows it down. And then a big group of us sit in the conference room and we have it up on a giant monitor and we go through it.
Do the judging and stuff.
And most people's websites are fantastic, but then there are some people, including some people who have won it now, who have the world's worst and least intuitive websites that we've ever seen.
It's just very painful to see.
It is. It's terrible.
You shouldn't make it hard to see your work,
You should not make it hard to see your work. You should make it easy and just click next.
But I also know that it's not, the web stuff isn't easy, like it's not intuitive.
Like it is now.
But it's getting way better. Like I said,
Squarespace,
Adobe Portfolio
Adobe
is
Portfolio,
like super easy to use.
It's really easy.
I had it up like that. I mean, it was awesome. I even have it linked to my own domain. It's erikuna.com.
See, that's
it's like, boom. I just put in the little numbers and boom, it just did it.
If you're a photographer, what it comes down to is that we want to see your images big and we want to be able to hit next and go to the next image. If your website does not do that, I would seriously consider changing it.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
And if you're on an old WordPress template, it probably doesn't do that.
Yeah. So consider that.
Consider it, yes. Big images, easy to see, easy to navigate, and easy to go back and find the different portfolios.
Exactly.
And then don't have like 1,700 different portfolios. Have like 3.
Yeah.
5.
You don't want people getting angry
2.
when they're trying to navigate your site.
Yeah.
It does not go well.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us. And if you're out in those, where is Scott? Where is Scott? I'm trying to wrap up the show.
We will be here till 5:30, just so you know.
But I'm trying to see where is? Oh, you know where we're gonna be?
Where?
Is we're gonna be out at WPPI. So if you're out at WPPI,
You're going too?
I'm not going, but KelbyOne is going.
Yeah.
And Scott's
Rachel
gonna be
is
there.
going. Scott's
And
going. Melissa's going.
check it out. You know, we're gonna be there at KelbyOne's gonna be there at WPPI. So definitely check us out and stuff. Scott will be out there. Scott is actually on tour right now, and he's at San Antonio and and Houston. Yeah. I knew he was in Texas. I just forgot what city's in Texas. So San Antonio and Houston. So if you're in San Antonio, you can come out and see him tomorrow. If you're in Houston, you can see him Monday right before he goes to WPPI. There you go.
Very cool.
Well, guys, we will wrap up the show now.
For real.
And it was great to have you guys here. And
Thank
we'll see
you so
you
much
next
for
week.
watching.
All right,
Bye,
thanks.
guys.